What's up, everybody? Welcome to another YouTube Hangout. Super excited to be here with a repeat guest on the show. Her name is Cloris Kylie. She is an expert in influence marketing. She has a book coming out. She has a podcast that she's launching, and she wanted to interview me for her podcast. I said, yes, let's do it. And how about we turn it into a YouTube Hangout so that you guys could see her again and learn something as well. People in the chat, Cloris, have already recognized you and said she's back, so that's exciting. And welcome aboard. Welcome back to the show.
It's a pleasure, Evan. It's awesome. And, you know, I see your energy. It just comes through the screen. So I'm getting energized just by watching you.
I love it. So, I mean, you're going to take this and put it to your podcast. You can cut this part out. But maybe just quick intro for my audience, and then you run it like it's your podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of talk about how Evan has used influencer connections or tapped into his network of influencer connections to grow his business, but also how he as an influencer connects with new people. Because what happens is once we start building that network of connections, then we actually gain influence ourselves. And we kind of play both roles. And that's the whole point, just to see that it's not about just having a one-off type of conversation with somebody or interaction. It's about creating long-lasting connections, and about how when you really want to deliver value and you authentically want to help that person, then fantastic things can come out of it. So that's what today's show is all about. So I'm just gonna ask you a few questions about your experience with creating connections and so forth, Evan.
I'm excited to do it. Let's go.
All right. So first, for my listeners, I'd like you, Evan, to tell us how you arrived where you are today. You know, I know it's a fascinating story, but would you be able to condense it in a few words, or not? Well, yeah, a few minutes. How you got to be where you are today?
So, Evan Carmichael, I have probably best known for my YouTube channel. I've got almost 1 million subscribers. Has daily content to help people believe in themselves more. I believe that the biggest challenge facing humanity is untapped human potential, and that's the problem that I'm trying to solve through the work that I do on a consistent basis. Started off not thinking I'd ever be an entrepreneur. Thought I was going to be a banker. Eventually had my first business just by connecting with a couple people at university. Sucked at the start, built it, sold it, became a venture capitalist, learned about raising money and scaling businesses. And then wanted to give back and wanted to help entrepreneurs. I think entrepreneurs will solve all the problems of the world. And I'm trying to do my part to help them believe in themselves a little bit more. And been doing that for the past, I don't know, I sold my business when I was 22. I am now 37. So 15 years of helping entrepreneurs. And it's been a blast along the way. And I'm excited to be here on this new podcast.
Well, that's awesome. Yes, it's amazing the growth that you have gone through, and well, I'm sure that once you started that first business, though, I was thinking in your early years, you probably got inspiration from somebody, something prompted you to start your own business to make a difference. So was that a specific person, or was it more like your own realization after you interacted with information and other people?
Yeah, I think growing up, I had a lot of entrepreneurial tendencies. Okay. I sold art door to door with my little sister when I was 5 to my neighbors. That was my first 5 or 10 cents earned. And I had lemonade stands, and I sold baseball cards, and I tried to do all these little ventures, and they all made little bits of money, especially for a young person growing up, 12 years old, 13 years old. But I didn't think about being an entrepreneur because it wasn't on my radar. When 15 years ago or more, it wasn't popular to be an entrepreneur. It wasn't talked about in school. There wasn't YouTube videos talking about it. So it wasn't a career option for most people. And so that's why I thought I wanted to be a banker. Right. And it was when I went to university that I connected with 2 people who had started a business, and they asked me to join as a partner. And I thought that'd be a fun challenge, and that I would regret not at least giving it a shot. And so I think if it was a different environment, if it was like now, if I'm starting over and I'm 10 years old, I'd be wrapped up in the entrepreneur world and consuming lots of content and maybe listening to your podcast. But when I was growing up, we didn't have that. And so I had the good fortune to be able to connect with those 2 entrepreneurs. And I just took a chance and said, I might regret not doing this, so I'm going to go forward and hopefully it works out. And luckily it did.
It did. And here you are today with a YouTube channel that has such a huge reach. So you've become an influencer. But at the same time, you've connected with a lot of influencers thanks to your channel, right? So how do you reach out to people when you first were getting started in your channel? You didn't have that many followers. What was that process like?
So I think for me, when I first started my channel, I didn't really have a goal to build a huge channel. Being YouTube famous wasn't on my radar or agenda. I was just making videos that I thought could help entrepreneurs. People were asking me questions, and I thought, hey, instead of writing an email response, I'll make a video. I would rather be on video than type an email, and maybe it could help other people who have the same problem instead of just helping one person. I want to have a bigger impact. When I started taking it more seriously, I was a believer in partnerships, and it wasn't called influencer marketing at the time, but that idea of partnering up with people who already have your audience and finding ways to work together. It was that strategy that saved my first business. You know, I was 19 years old. I was making $300 a month. And that idea that I took from Bill Gates, that saved my company, of find a company or find someone who's already targeting the same audience as me, and how can we work together? Find a way to work together. And that saved Microsoft, that saved my business, and I brought that same approach to my YouTube channel. The first people that I looked at making a deal with that were of any significance, who I would say is an influencer. At the beginning, it's like, yeah, you want to do something? Sure, let's do something. Who cares? Go. Like, there was no real goal at the beginning. Nobody was really paying attention anyway, so it didn't really matter. But the first two that I really targeted and did something with were Tim Schmoyer and Daryl Eves. And these guys are pretty well known in the YouTube community. If you're trying to build a YouTube channel, you're probably familiar with their content, their channels. And the reason why it worked was, one, because I was already a subscriber of their channel. I was a fan. I was consuming their content. I knew what their messages were. I knew what they stood for. And I was trying to find an angle that I felt could benefit their platform. So as an example, I was using YouTube to drive speaking engagements for myself. And that was one thing that Daryl wanted to talk about on his channel. And so I went on as a guest on his channel to talk about that. For Tim, we did 3 set videos, and then was a guest on a bunch of them. I forget what the first one was. I think it was about coming up with topics, how to come up with topics to talk about on a YouTube channel. And I pitched them. Here's what I would do. I would write to them and say, hey, I'm a big fan of the channel. Hopefully they would recognize me because I was already active in the comments. Right. And I'm a big fan of the channel. Here's what I do. Here's my background. I was thinking about doing a potential guest video for you. Here are 3 ideas that come to mind that I think would be a fit for your audience. And they would be really targeted. There's not just, hopefully it works out. I genuinely thought that they would be helpful and relevant based off of what I could bring and what I knew about the audience, because I was in the audience. And so that really helped me. I got a yes. I don't know if I got a yes right away. I don't remember how many emails I sent. But the people who you already subscribe to, who you already follow, are going to be your best bets to reach out to, because you're already connected somehow. Like you have a similar mindset, similar belief system if you're following them, if you like them. And then it's just figuring out, one, how do you become a known quantity to them so that when you send them a message, they recognize who you are because you've been engaged with everything they're doing. And then 2, how can you bring value to them? What topic can you bring? What expertise can you bring that is different and unique and could do well for their channel? You know, I didn't go to Tim Schmoyer and Daryl Eves and say, I'm going to teach your audience how to rank your video on YouTube, because they were better at it than I was. I'm not the expert on, at least at that time. Now I know some stuff. Now I got ninja skills there. But when I started, I had no idea. So I was talking about coming up with content ideas because I was making consistent content. I was talking about doing brand deals and hiring a team and doing public speaking and getting gigs, because that's what I was doing, and I could bring some value to it where maybe they didn't have as much experience.
Well, you know, so many value nuggets here. And, you know, first thing that you truly believed in their message. It's not like you selected somebody and kind of force yourself to be, you know, to post comments or to watch their videos. You were really enjoying the content. And I think that's so important, that you're authentic. So it was easy for you to learn about their channel, learn about their audience, and then be prepared with ideas that were compelling for them too, which shows something else which is so important to connect with any influencers and with anybody really, to know what matters to them and then to appeal to that, to give them options. These are 3 ideas. And there's something that you mentioned, Evan, that you said, I don't know how many emails I sent. That shows that you actually followed up. Like a lot of people just send one email, oh, didn't hear from them, too bad. You actually took the time to be persistent.
Yeah, I think that just came from my business background. Yeah. I had a company. It doesn't happen on the first try. I almost failed. You have to, be consistent in what you're doing. And so, yeah, I mean, I just brought an entrepreneurial business approach to everything that I do naturally. So I brought that to YouTube after I had built and sold the business and after I'd helped other businesses scale, that it just seemed natural. Where I think a lot of people, if they're just getting started and this is their first business, then you're going to make a lot of mistakes that I made in my first business, where I thought it was too young, where I didn't follow up, or I didn't message people, and all of the limitations that I had just put on myself. Yeah, and so I think, yes, it's being consistent and following up, and also doing a good job in targeting people that you're not just going after everybody, especially at the beginning. You're going after people who you think there's a good hit rate with.
Yeah, exactly. So then would you say that after you connected with those first group of people, it was kind of like a snowball effect, like things actually started to happen for you a lot easier?
I think once you get a little bit of traction, things do become easier. I think I learned this again before YouTube. One of the things I did was I had a website, it was off my name, and I wanted to get business leaders and experts to contribute content. And at the start, I started with people who I knew, friends, business coaches, and then I got a connection into Guy Kawasaki and Seth Godin, who are still pretty well known, but at the time were like the king of the bloggers, and blogging was a huge thing. And I got them to say yes. And then I used their names to get other people. And I got a whole bunch of people involved. And so, if you're starting a YouTube channel and you get one person on board, then you use that person's name to get other people and other people and other people. And you have your demo as an example. And then you keep on my old mentor used to say, pulling sweaters to get to the front of the line. Like you keep pulling sweaters, you keep using the other people's names that you've had to then go off and get other people who are similar to them. Like if you're launching new podcasts like this, right? Then you can say, well, I've had Evan Carmichael on, and to some people that name means something. To others, like, who's Evan Carmichael? But if you're going to the people who know me or who've heard of me, they say, oh, Evan was on that. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm going to look into that. Where when you're first starting out and there's nobody, then that's a challenge. So you're trying to find the best people you can at the start, do some project with them, make it work, and then expand from there.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. And as you said, one person leads to the next. And also for each one of those people, whether they were your friends or somebody who you have never met, your number one priority was to deliver value to that person, right? You were coming to the relationship with, okay, how can I help this person first?
Absolutely. I want people to be a known quantity, right? So when people reach out to me, most of the time people just say, hey, can you check out my app? Hey, can you check out my website? Hey, can you check out whatever? And like, I have no idea who you are. You barely know who I am, obviously, because you haven't customized this email, and it's going out to however many thousands of people. And so I ignore it. But there's people who are in my network who I know have commented on a lot of videos. I see them in the chat, right? I've seen their comments pop up. And so if they ask me for something, like, oh, that's Zeno, that's Mitchell, I'm going to go check it out because I've seen them. They're a known quantity. So I think that's really important, that when you're going in, you have provided value already, so that when they see some kind of ask from you, they already have some kind of familiarity with you.
Yeah, so that happens often. Then you actually notice people who comment on your videos all the time, and then they eventually reach out to you to to get advice or whatever that might be.
Yeah, and a lot of it happens even without an ask. Like especially at the early days of a channel, I was looking at every comment that came in on my YouTube channel. And for anybody who's starting a channel, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you're watching every comment, you're watching every tweet, you pay attention. And if somebody leaves a comment 5 or 6 times, I'm like, this Zeno guy keeps commenting on my videos. What does he do? And then you click on his profile and you see, right? And maybe he's a YouTuber too. Maybe he's an artist. Maybe he's something, and you're thinking, maybe there's something you could do. Maybe I end up reaching out to him because I see a potential fit, right? It just happens. You've seen it. If somebody has retweeted your thing a lot or have commented back, you're curious. You click on their profile. You see what they're about. You read their bio. And so it's an easy way to start standing out, but you have to be able to provide value. Like your comment has to bring up enough intrigue that they want to go and then click on you and see what you're about.
You know, that's a great point, because many people just say nice or I liked or whatever, like something really simple that doesn't really make you stand out, you know, that the other person actually says, oh yeah, that's right, that made me think about it, or about the topic or whatever that is. So always delivering value, even with the comments, even with the shares, and yeah, so that definitely matters. Now, would you say you'll sometimes like maybe try to connect with a guest on your show, or somebody who you really wanted to connect with, but no matter how many times you followed up, that person seemed to ignore you? Like, what did you do in that situation?
I'm trying to think if there's ever been anybody like that. I have a unique approach where, you know, there's nobody that I really want to have on my channel. It's great. Like I would, you know, I'm in talks with having Tony Robbins on and a bunch of people, and it's great, and it'd be a fun interview, but it's not like I can't wait to get Tony Robbins on my channel or anybody. There's nobody who I'd really want to go and sit and have dinner with. So like, I don't really have a hit list. The way that I do it is, instead of being sales focused like that and going out and promoting myself, I'm marketing focused, where I'm creating great content that attracts eyeballs, that attracts people to follow what I'm doing. And then because I have an audience, and people start pitching me to say, hey, well, we just had Bishop T.D. Jakes on the channel. We have Ryan Holiday coming up, and we have Brian Tracy, and, you know, all these people who are promoting books or, you know, whatever they're doing, and they want to get exposure. And so bit by bit, I'm building up my name as somebody who, if you come on my channel, you'll get exposure. And that's leading to opportunities. If there was somebody who I really wanted to go after, I'm just trying to think of an example. It's been so long since I like headhunted somebody and like, I need to get this person on board. I would look through any kind of connection that I could find. Actually, here's an example. This is a great example. Okay. It didn't work out, but it almost did. Your One Word. Okay, so I wrote the book, Your One Word. I love Howard Schultz. He's on the wall behind me. He started Starbucks. In his book, Onward, he says Starbucks is based around one word of love. And when I read that, I'm like, what? Starbucks is based around one word. This is awesome. I want to interview Howard. I want to have him in the book, because I was lining up companies of different sizes, and the biggest company I had was 150 million in revenue, and it would have been awesome to show like an even bigger company. And so I'm like, how do I get to Howard Schultz? Normally, what I would do is tweet them. I find it's the easiest way to get into somebody. And I have enough of a following now that if you see a tweet from me, it usually pops up. You know, like they get some kind of alert that somebody tweeted you. Howard's not on Twitter. He's a hard one to get to, right? He's not on Twitter. So I connected eventually the way that I found through. Like I'm asking everybody I know, how do I get to Howard Schultz? Do you know anybody at Starbucks? Everybody that I know, like I'm asking my book agent, my other agent, like everybody in my network, do you know anybody at Starbucks? Anybody that can, and trying to find my way through. Eventually my path was the ghostwriter who wrote the book with him. I forget her name, it was this woman. I connected with her. She was on Twitter and said, hey, I love your book. It's just so inspirational to me. And I think I made a thank you video, or I made something for her. And she wrote back and she said, thank you so much. It's great to hear from a fan. And I said, I'm working on my own book, and it's about Your One Word. And I saw that Howard's is about love. You think there's any way that you can make an introduction to me to Howard and the team? And she said, I don't know if Howard would be on board with it, but I'll introduce you to the corporate PR. And I started working my way up, corporate PR, got to the head of global communications at Starbucks. And long story short, we couldn't make the timing work. Like he didn't have the time to do it in my publication window, and nobody else could tell the story like how I didn't want to interview like the head of PR for the book. And so it didn't happen. But like with enough time, it could have. And it came because it was the ghostwriter of his book, right? And I had no connection. Like for people thinking, well, you have connection. Like I didn't know her from anything. And she's an easy get because most people aren't writing to the ghostwriters of the book, right? Like she had credit. It said by Howard Schultz and her. And so she was easy enough to connect with. And that led to a conversation that led to an introduction. But we had a whole list. I remember a guy on my team, Jay Rise, was putting together a whole bunch of lists. Howard Schultz started a venture capital company with somebody else. And so like, okay, let's talk to that guy. So any connection to Howard Schultz that we could find, we were aggressively attacking to see any possible path that we can go through. And the best one ended up being through the ghostwriter of his book. But that's just an example of like, you have a goal and you just attack it from every single possible angle and not giving up. And so if you really want to get whoever on your channel, you're asking everybody you know, you're constantly following up, you're constantly looking for angles, you're looking for back paths in to be able to find your way. And if you stay at it long enough, you'll get it.
I love that story, and that is so true. And you didn't give up. You said, okay, how can I get to this person? And the important thing is that you talk to everyone about it. It's not like you just went in your room on your own and tried to find it. You actually used or tapped into your existing network of connections to connect with him. And that also reminds me of how I connected with a TV producer. I really wanted to be on that show. It's a local show here in Connecticut. So, it's so hard to reach the producers. So all I did was to go to the show's website and see all the previous guests to see if I knew somebody. And I actually had like a second-degree connection to one of the previous guests. So I was able to get an introduction to that person, and then that person introduced me to the producer. So you never know how it's going to happen, Evan. And something that I love that you said is that when you connected with the ghostwriter on Twitter, you actually created a video, right? You created a thank you video, which is way above and beyond than just sending a tweet.
Yeah, the more personal you can make it, the better. Even now, I was on a call with a guy who runs, what's the company? Agora Pulse or something like that. They do social media management. And he's like, I can automate a lot of your social media. And I'm like, you know what? For Twitter and Instagram, no, because I answer with video. Like I'll get on and I'll make a video response for people because it just makes a much more deeper connection. And so just remembering that you don't need to be a videographer, right? Like everybody has a phone. They're pretty good quality. Just pick it up and start recording. And you don't need to be an expert public speaker. You don't need to have a ton of charisma. All you need to show is that you have a genuine care and interest in that person. And the beauty about a Twitter or a Snapchat or an Instagram is it's expected to be low budget. It's expected to be on the go. It's expected to be from a cell phone. So it doesn't have to be highly produced. If it's highly produced, like if you got a highly produced Instagram message, you feel like it's a commercial. Right? So like that's a benefit for you. If you suck at video editing, you don't have to know anything about editing. You just have to press record and make a video for them. And it stands out in somebody's feed a lot more than anything else. And I'm sad that YouTube doesn't allow video responses on comments, because that would be, it's a video company. Let me make a video response. Hopefully one day that's coming.
Well, you already planted the seed. So, maybe in a couple of years, we'll be doing the responses on video, thanks to you.
Looking forward to it.
That's great. So now, as an influencer, then people reach out to you, as you said, all the time. They pitch your show because you have built such a strong content marketing platform, right? So would you say that that's a must? Like if you want to really stand out, to have your own YouTube channel, to have a way to share your expertise that is yours too?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's a must. The only must is that you're working hard. I went in on what I was great at. I am not great at doing the sales side of things. Like I really want to get to Howard Schultz. I will force myself to do it, and I'll still find my way through just because of hard work and determination and grit and effort. But I don't like doing that stuff. It doesn't come naturally to me, and I don't want to get better at it either. Like anything else, if you have the passion for it, you can pick up the skills really quickly. I just didn't want to do it. And so I win in my way by creating content and attracting people to me. If you love the sales side and you don't have the discipline to do the videos and you don't want to be the talking head, you want to work behind the camera, like all of those paths can work. It's just picking one and being consistent with it. And this one works best for me.
Yeah, exactly. So consistency and doing something you love. Otherwise, you're going to give up because it is hard work, as you said.
100%.
Now, I'd like to ask you, are there any tools that you love to share with us, whether it be to like run your business or anything that has helped you productivity wise, maybe a book that you've made a difference in your life? Anything you'd like to share with us?
So I'll give you 3 answers.
Okay.
The first one is I have a massive disrespect for tools because I think people blame the tools. Like the tool is going to save you. Like the tool will not save you, right? Whether you use Evernote or a notebook or whatever, like you could try 1,000 different tools. The answer is not jumping to the next tool. So I think starting with that in mind, in that it starts with you, and that even if you had 0 tools, you'd still go out and dominate and work hard and get the results you want. Where I think too many people get stuck on the tools and they blame it's Evernote's fault that I'm not successful. No, you're not putting in the work. Second, I think my YouTube channel is the best tool. Shameless self-promotion, but it's true. Like I make the channel for me, and it's great that I can share it with people as well. In that I think the biggest thing that people need is the mindset adjustment. I think the biggest problem is the untapped potential. It's just believing that you can do it. It's not waking up and looking at your email every day. It's getting up and thinking you can do something big. So whatever that thing is that gets you inspired and motivated and empowered, is making that a consistent habit in your daily routine. And so for me, it's being around the videos, and every day I'm learning from Steve Jobs or Howard Schultz or whoever it is. And that just makes me want to push harder and do more. And I think developing that system is going to be super important. Now, maybe to answer the question of like actual tactical tools that I use in my business, I think from a YouTube perspective, it's pretty boring, to be honest. Like the camera function, email, Evernote, Hootsuite. What else am I using that might be a little different? I just installed a new app called Fabulous that is habit tracking. But I don't know. I don't think I have an app that, like, you take any of my apps away, I'm not dependent on any of them. So there's no like life-changing app or life-changing program that makes a huge difference.
Well, that's so important as an entrepreneur to not really be dependent on one thing to really run your business, whether it is a tool or, as you said before, an influencer, or I have to connect with this person or otherwise my life is over. If you really have different options, then you can quickly adapt and change and keep growing, right?
You got it. The people in the comments are saying TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is another great one for YouTubers. It allows you to automate a lot of the processes around YouTube. So there's good tools out there. There's good tools. I don't want to overly disrespect them, but at the same time, I have massive disrespect for the tools.
I think it's a great answer. So now I know that you have a new book coming up, Evan. So why don't you tell us about it, and also about your one word, which is one of my favorite books, which I give to all of my clients. All my new clients get your one word. Wow,
I appreciate that. So your one word is about finding your one words, your most important core value. I think until you have self-awareness, you can't really make a path forward in life. Until you know what you stand for and what you stand against and what you're no longer willing to tolerate in your life, then you are just subject to everybody else's opinions and plans for you instead of doing the thing that you want to do. And so figuring that out then gives people the courage and confidence to move forward on a path that is aligned for them. So that came out last year. The new book is The Top 10 Rules of Success. And I took the 40 most popular people on my channel that we've done top 10 rules on and condensed it down into a book. And I just submitted it to Amazon. So I'm excited for that to come out. And what I did was, I don't want people to read this as a book. Normally you read a book, you read it cover to cover, and maybe there's some exercises to go through. I think if you read it cover to cover, you'll blow through too quickly and you won't get the wisdom from it. Think about it. Like, so the first one is Steve Jobs. The second one is Tony Robbins. This is the 10 best things that Steve Jobs has ever said in his life. What I want people to do is read one page a day, and on one page you get 2 ideas. So you get 2 of their best ideas, read that in the day, and then think about how you can apply it to your life, because nothing happens if you're just reading it. I'm sure you being an author, getting your book out, you want people to take action on it, not just have another book that sits on the shelf and they went through it and like, wow, that was great, I'm inspired, and they don't do anything. So I want people to read one page a day. It's an easy commitment. It's one page, doesn't take that long to do. You get 2 fantastic ideas from legends of business, and then find some way to apply it to your life or company.
Yeah, that's perfect. So it's like a little reflection, which is much needed. Something perfect, like at the end of the day, you kind of let that macerate at night, and then in the morning you come up with amazing ideas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how people use it. And I did this for myself. So just like I make the videos for myself, I make the book for myself, and I do it in the morning. So when I wake up, I have a big glass of water. So in my washroom, there's a big glass of water. There's the book, and then there's a sticky note, and I'll write down what I learned from the book or what I'm going to apply, and then I stick it on the back of my phone so I remember for that day. And that's how I start every day. I read a page from the book, I get some ideas, I write on my sticky note, and I drink my glass of water, and I'm off and set for the day.
That's cool. I love that. Love that habit. That's great. Well, Evan, this has been such a pleasure, and I can't wait to share your fantastic stories and what you have done with my audience and Beyond Influencer Marketing podcast, because this is valuable not just for your life as an entrepreneur, but for your life, to your own empowerment, to see that it is possible for you to achieve what those influencers have achieved. And I think that's one of the most, relevant pieces about being an influencer and connecting with influencers, just to that belief that yes, it's possible for you to achieve success.
I love it. Well, thank you for the love, and I'm excited to see your podcast take off.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you.